We're here at the Sheldon Concert Hall in St. Louis, Missouri, where the Black Violin Group is performing tonight to a sold-out audience. We went backstage with the group to learn more about their story and their music. I'm Sarah Bernard with STL Live. See you guys here in St. Louis. You excited to be here?
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, so we're here at the Sheldon sold-out show, which is probably typical for you guys.
Yeah, it's good. It's been happening.
Yeah,
it's been happening from time to time.
Yeah, you got to take a picture of that and go home and show the family. That makes it all worth it, right? Because you're tired being on tour.
Of course, at least people want to come out and check it out, so that's always great.
Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about your history, how you guys came together. I know you've been friends since high school.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that. How did it all start?
We met in high school in orchestra class, first day of high school, both violists in the high school orchestra, and we've been, friends ever since. I've always been trying to make music and figure out different ways to make the violin and viola appeal to people that it doesn't normally appeal to, and have been just trying to kind of grinding together, playing shows in every city that we can find, and keep grinding.
Yeah, so let's talk about what you just said. You want the violin or these string instruments to appeal to people that it doesn't normally appeal to. So let's talk about that. What does that mean? Will, you want to address that?
Well, I mean, it just means that, classical as a whole, just the culture itself, it's always been this this is who we are, we don't need anybody else type of thing, And for us, we were lucky to be exposed to this music, and we love playing these instruments. For us, we want to be able to bridge this gap between these two different worlds, hip-hop, classical. Hip-hop, not classical with everything else, to be honest, And just dealing with a lot of kids and performing for a lot of kids and try to get the kids to see this other side of this genre, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so at your sound check today, you had some of the kids from St. Louis schools who are in the orchestra program in middle schools. And is that something that you do in most cities?
We try to, whenever we can kind of collaborate with the venue and they can bring some of the local kids by to watch the sound check, we talk to them. And sometimes we'll even play, they'll play a song with us on stage. You know what I'm saying? The stage is really small, so we couldn't really put that together, but we try to do that in every city, you know what I mean? Because the kids, man, the kids need it, I wish I was them when I was their age, seeing something like that. So for us, we feel like we have to do it, and it makes us feel good, it makes them feel good,
So you guys, did you fall in love with classical music at a young age, or is it something that you really had to learn and understand before you appreciated it?
No, I mean, classical music was always something we studied. So it was at class we had second period and it was orchestra. That's what we studied. And I think we both grew to love it, different parts of it for sure. So classical was always something that we worked at, and it was a challenge and a skill we were developing. Hip hop was something we always loved, like popular music. We just, like everybody else, we're listening to whatever is hot. And so we were always just trying to figure out a way to mash our skills with what we loved.
Okay, so when did you merge the hip hop with your instruments? At what point did that happen?
The thing is, because we lived hip hop. We just happened to play these instruments. You know what I mean? So for us to say when it happened, it might have happened the second day I picked up this viola. You know what I mean? Because honestly, when I started playing this viola, I started hearing music differently. I would hear this violin melody on this TV show that I've never heard before. It's always been there, but just now that I'm exposed to this music, it's classical music, now I can hear it better now. So I think for us, we were always, because if you don't try to do something different with this instrument, a lot of times kids just quit. You know what I mean? So for us, it was fun. It was fun to hear something on the radio and just mimic it and try to play on top of the song. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say when it happened. It happened organically. It just happened naturally, because hip hop is about expressing yourself. We knew this instrument, so what better way to do it but to express ourselves with this instrument that we were studying and we knew, you know what I mean? Same thing with the dancer or whoever, saxophone player, so for us, it's unheard of. You know, classical musicians don't normally do that, but for us, we didn't care. You know, it's hip hop. You know.
So, and you guys don't really, you're not the typical professional string players. You're not, and I don't want to say typical. That's probably the wrong word to use because what is typical, right?
Right.
But you kind of fight the obvious, so to speak. And how does that work into you? I mean, how does that feel? Do you feel strengthened by being maybe atypical or different from what we're used to?
Yeah, man, definitely feel strengthened, especially now. I mean, when we started, we were, you know, people would be like, well, you try to explain it to them and they don't get it, or, you know, and then, you know, they just don't understand. They think maybe we're cheapening the classical music or we're not, you know, authentic in the hip hop or whatever, you know? So I think that, like, for us, we definitely now are doing something that we love, and we are sold out, you know, and we play a lot of shows all over the place. So as musicians are concerned, we're definitely pretty successful, and we do it on our own terms, and no one dictates anything. No one can tell us we played a wrong note or anything, because it's all our music, and we've created our own lane. So, you know, how are you going to tell us the direction we're going in is wrong, you know? So that's the thing. At the beginning, it's tough because you're trying to develop this and say, well, this is who we are, and, you know, and trying to break down these walls and try to get a place like this to even book us. Now, when you sell it out, it changes the entire spectrum.
So in the early days, it was challenging.
Of course, in the early days, you know, say, hey, I got these two black guys going to play violin in your club. You know, it's going to be great. And they'd be like, what is that?
And
like,
you felt you weren't accepted right off the bat. You didn't have history, right?
Yeah, I mean,
just like any musician.
Yeah, like any musician, like any business, you have to prove yourself first, and then once you prove yourself, everyone wants to, you know, wants a piece of it. But so it's like at the beginning, no one, you know, there's no YouTube, there was no Twitter. We're in college at a 2-bedroom apartment trying to create this sound, and no one understood what it was, and even the description of it sounds like crazy. It's like, yeah, you got two black guys. They look like we should be playing football and basketball. We play violins, but it's crazy. It doesn't even sound like anything you want to hear, and until you see it and then you hear it, and then we prove you wrong, and then now we own it.
Yeah, and that's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting to be different, to be unexpected.
Definitely.
And not what people expect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so right now, St. Louis is a crazy place right now. There's a lot of tension in the city. How did that feel to you coming here, knowing what's been going on in our city over the last few years?
I mean, it felt, you know, for us, we've traveled around this country, and it's no different from going to Charlottesville or Charleston, you know, Flint, because we perform in all these cities, so we see it all the time. So for us, you know, if we can come in and do what we do, which is bring people together, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully, if you see me, and if you come to this show and you see me, you look at me, and maybe hopefully you're entertained, but also at the same time, your perception of a person that looks like me is completely shattered. So next time you walk down the street, you see someone that looks like me, hopefully you will say, that kid might be a violinist, or that kid might be a, you know, saxophone player, or whatever. Kid might be an attorney, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you won't necessarily go to this, you know, this thing about this person is probably this way or that way. You know what I mean? And
the judgment goes away.
Right. Definitely. You know what I mean? And that's one of the biggest things that we do. And if we can come to a place like St. Louis and all the hardship you guys have been going through for the last 6 years, you know, I mean, 400 years, whatever. You know? But I think for us, we travel around this country, and this is, like you said earlier, we don't look like a typical violinist, right? So for us, we use that to our advantage.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We use that to our advantage. You come to this show, and you see us, you're having a good time, but at the same time, we got to plant these seeds. We got to plant them. We got to tell you, listen, look at me. You know what I'm saying? We're having a good time, and if you see the audience tonight, it's going to be all types of people there. You know, purple, green, doesn't matter. You know, young, old. And we bring people together, and I think our show, what it does is not only bring people together, but it gets people to really think, to really look at themselves and say, man, what is this way that I'm thinking? Doesn't even make any sense. Look where I'm at. I'm having a good time. I'm sitting beside whoever. You know what I mean? So for us, if we can come to a city and do that, man, job well done. You know, and for us, we don't shy from any situation. We'll go to any city and perform because that's what our music does. Brings people together. It gets people to really think and look at themselves, you know?
Do you feel that you have a special message for the African American youth in our country who may be inspired to be musicians or not? And if so, what would that message be?
You know, I mean, our message for everyone. I mean, African American youth for sure, but you know, our message is really about everyone, and everyone just about. Don't judge a book by its cover, because you could be 6'2", 295 and play violin at a very high level. You can do anything that people don't think you can do. If you're a girl and they say, oh, girls don't do this, or boys don't do this, or you're too young for that, nah. That's more reason for you to prove them wrong and do what people don't expect, because stereotypes are there to be broken. That's the first thing. For, you know, to tell any kid, black, Spanish, you know, white, anything. Like, you know, always understand that there's so much more to you than what people put you in, than that box that people put you into. So that's the first thing. Second thing is also make sure that you're trying to work as hard as possible. You know, a lot of times people, you know, young kids, they think that needs to be just given to them. Like, hey, I grew up like this, I have an iPhone, hey, you know. Nah, it is so many talented people that are doing nothing. The people that are really succeeding are the people that are working harder than everyone else. So that's the second thing that we need to talk to kids about, and make sure that they understand that you have to be thinking about things from a different perspective and breaking stereotypes, and you have to outwork everybody. Otherwise, you know, what will you really have at the end of it, you know? And I think that's generally our message in our show and our music, is just like, you know, for kids, just, hey, you know, nothing is as it seems, you know, think outside the box and make sure that you're outworking everybody, because, you know, if you're not outworking anybody, no one wants to hear your excuses. So that's the thing too, it's just about those two things.
Yeah, yeah. Will, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's about being yourself. I mean, to me that's one of the main things. Be yourself, be who you are. You know, if you love cooking, you know what I'm saying, and you're a, you know, a 15-year-old kid, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. If that makes you happy, it brings joy to your heart, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't care about what anybody else says, because if that was the case for us, we would have quit a long time ago.
Well, and when you guys were young, you were teenagers, did you find or feel that people were resisting what you wanted to do? They were trying to convince you to follow a different path, perhaps?
Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, we never really, I don't know, I think we just didn't really give any thought to what other people thought or what they wanted us to do, because we always knew what worked. We always felt like we knew our music and what we wanted to be more than anyone else could. So I think that, yeah, sure, there's people that were doubters, but, you know, we didn't really give them any time or attention. So I don't remember any specific instances, because we're not listening to them, you know?
Yeah, obviously you're not, so that's good. So, and you're talented, so that helps a lot too. You know, you can kind of have a say when you've got the talent and the skills. So you're just at the beginning of your tour now, 4 shows in, is that
right? 4 shows in.
And you've got a lot ahead. So what are you excited about with this tour?
Excited about, you know, just going to these different cities. We're here in St. Louis. It's going to be a fun night. We're just excited to just hit all these different places, you know. It's always fun, man, going into the city and just eating the food and, you know, enjoying some barbecue, some wings, you know. So it's always exciting. Being on the road is exciting, you know, getting to perform and talking to kids and talking to people and, you know, talking to you guys and doing interviews. It's always exciting, you know what I'm saying? And when we go home, but when we're on the road, it's the best job ever.
Yeah, okay, so what's ahead for Black Violin after the tour? What's in the agenda coming?
We're working on a new album, so that new album should be out next year. So I'm still working on the title, but, you know, stay tuned. We're the house band for the Heisman Award show on ESPN, so that's in December. We get to, you know, hang out with, you know, Tebow and Charles Woodson and all the other Heisman Award winners. So we do that later on, and then, yeah, we're on a classical boom tour. We're all over North America, so we're taking over every city 1 stage at a time, basically, for the rest of the year. And also trying to keep scoring television shows and things of that nature. Television shows, movies, video games. We're big into that now, so we have a couple of projects kind of brewing. So, you know, when we're not playing shows, we're scoring and composing.
Yeah, that's really neat. And I heard you telling the kids at your sound check that you are always working on your skills too, as a message to them. So
always. Even when we're performing, we're practicing, because it's like, you know, no matter when we play the instrument, we always try to get better. So You know, we don't ever use, we never take a moment for granted, and we're always working on something.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, thank you guys both for your time. Appreciate it. How can people follow you? What's your website, Twitter?
Blackviolin.net is the website. Facebook / Black Violin Music, Instagram, Twitter @Black Violin. Just Google.
Very good. Okay, thanks for joining us at STL Live. I'm Sarah Bernard.